Welcome to the Black Voice Hertfordshire community meeting. And our speaker today is going to be Michaelia and Sonia, and we're going to talk about the Black Voice. To find out more about Black Voice Hertfordshire community meetings, Black Voice lecturer, donation information, and services provided, please visit our Facebook page or email blackvoicelecturers@gmail.com. Here are house rules. Please remain muted at all times apart from when you are contributing. Please use the virtual hands up button to give notification that you would like to contribute or write your question stroke comment in the chat box. Due to the specific nature of this space, please refrain from using any and all known unknown ethnic group acronyms and words. Please wait for a contribution to end before you contribute. Raised voices over a contribution is not permitted. Please do not swear or use foul language. Please place all your contact information, events, projects of your organization, etc. that you wish to share in the chat. Our social platforms include Facebook, Pinterest, Snapchat, YouTube and TikTok, Instagram and LinkedIn under the name Black Voice Lecturer, and on Twitter with the username Black Voice L. Our website is www.blackvoicelecturers.com. Our contact number is 07 581 720032, and our email address is blackvoicelecturers@gmail.com. And I hand you over to Michaelia. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and it's great to join you again for another Black Voice Hertfordshire community meeting. It's a very intimate meeting this month. I have taken the choice, actually, the conscious choice to encourage organisations to basically come to us themselves. I think now we've been doing this for 2 years, and we have done mail shots, and I think our mail shot list is close to 500. And although we love to make connections with new people, we see that enough people know about where we are and when we are, so they can show up and not show up as they see fit, instead of taking on that responsibility of ushering change. We believe that people should want to take the change that needs to be done themselves and show up to these meetings that in quote unquote engage with the Black community. So today we are talking about tokenism within the Black community. Well, not within, but tokenism in general and how it affects the Black community. So I want to start off with a definition of what tokenism is, if I may. So this is off Google, so forgive me if I get this incorrectly, but tokenism is the practice of making only a perfunctory or symbolic effort to do a particular thing, especially by recruiting a small number of people from underrepresented groups in order to give the appearance of sexual or racial equality within a workforce. Now, this can be a workforce, it can be a group of people, it could be an event you're running. It just gives the appearance of something that isn't actually functioning on a day-to-day basis, to make the space equal for all. So the first point I'd like to make is that since the most worldwide effects of the effects to the Black community, i.e. the death of George Floyd, many organizations worldwide, locally and in Britain, have made efforts to just bear with me one moment. I can hear lots of noise and I do apologize. I'm just going to correct that in the background.
How are you, Jordan?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. And yourself?
I'm good. I'm good.
Can you just tell me a little bit more about the this sort of platform, is it the Hertfordshire
Black Voice.
community? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Black Voice, Black Voice. It's a social platform, and one of the aims is to of the organisation is to set up a museum. And I'll hand you over to Michaela because she could tell you a lot more.
Okay.
Um, Hi there, Jordan. I will mention about Black Voice Letchworth and Black Voice Hertfordshire and what we're all about, etc. In just a sec. I apologise, I had to stop there. I just had to get rid of some background noise that was coming from my end. Um, so a lot of organizations have taken the step of getting in a lot of melanin into their organization. And a lot of people would argue they should be applauded because maybe for a long period of time, they have not had Black people in their organization, and that should be applauded that they're even considering anyone, quote unquote, of color, for want of a better description, Black person in their space. However, there is a danger to that because education is needed, because when that person is in that space, the system that is perpetuated, systemic racism could affect the relationship that's built with that said person that you've brought in. Also, it also is dangerous because the 9 times out of 10, what I've seen is the person that's been brought in is used as some sort of barrier to mask the racism that they are benefiting from, that they don't want to really recognize that is actually existing, the actual core of what they need to change. You won't change what needs to be changed by just hiring someone Black or just bringing someone Black into a meeting and expecting a person to feel comfortable. That in itself is racist, if I'm honest with you. The core work that needs to be done is understanding the disparity numbers and really educating yourself personally as a lead, and also your team about the numbers and disparity and the statistics, and how you're going to move forward to actually support the community by a continual knowledge and continual knowledge of through relationship with community leaders within the Black community, by information you find out through books, etc. This is how you will build that space that doesn't that doesn't fill in to tokenism. This is my personal experience with tokenism. I don't know if anyone out there would disagree or agree with me, but I do see that a lot of organizations, even in Letchworth, are coming with a lot of people who are melanated or Black people and saying the same racist stuff to us, or the same things that actually perpetuate the same problems that affect our community, but not actually dealing with it, i.e. why aren't you giving funding to more Black led organizations that support Black people? What is the problem there? They think by just hiring or getting someone in that's Black, it shows that they're being progressive, and it's not. It doesn't show anything. What shows is the work you're putting in to actually change, and it's not going to just change by you just getting color in. So that's my first thing about tokenism. The second thing I would like to note is that within the Black community also, I find that because of the systems that we're forced to live on, to not to live under, but to be a part of, i.e. at work, i.e. in community organizations and business organizations, we are forced to be part of that tokenistic approach to getting people in? Are you making excuses? Oh, you know, there weren't Black people there before, and now they did this big, wonderful, you know, recruitment drive, and there's Black people everywhere. Right now, the police are doing the Met Police are doing a huge recruitment drive to get quote unquote Black people in. But what we're seeing is, most recently with child Q and now the child Olivia, is that because the system is the way it is, the same problems will keep happening. It's not going to change because you're going to hire Black people. You need to change not just the training, the whole system of how a child gets to the point where they're not protected by a service that's supposed to protect them, but they are harmed. So that's my two things about tokenism, and I will leave it there for people to contribute. Sonia. You're on mute, Sonia.
Just, tokenism means for me separate. I don't want to be separate. I want to belong. I want to be part of, you know. And I feel, in my opinion, I don't want to be treated differently. I want it to be your equal. I don't want to be a token. You've got it in just because you've got a black face. I'm not that person. I am me, and I am your equal. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely, I've been in meetings where they know that, you know, the hard questions are going to be asked about how many Black people specifically they have within their team, and they bring it they bring along some random Black person who is not even in the same area of being there, and it's embarrassing because that person has probably got how many degrees, a PhD or whatever, and they've been demoted to Black person in a meeting, and it's really embarrassing to see. And at the time I didn't call it out, but going forward I do, you know, because it's insulting. It's insulting to see what, you know, our best sit there and you know, as whatever professional in their profession, and should be sitting there as a key member of you know, of the company, based on their skill set. But you know, they've been brought in because, you know, because they're Black, you know, and that shouldn't be. Someone shouldn't have to study and then they're in a meeting. They should be in a meeting because, you know, of their skill set.
They're
Yeah.
all equal.
Yeah.
The other one is they make the assumption that you like reggae or you like Bob Marley, and then they get fluxed when I say, no, actually, I like opera. And then one bright spark thought, I said, no, I like Oprah.
Yes.
And I said, no, I said opera. Yeah.
Wow.
And I said, Madam Butterfly is one of my favourites. And if we want to really get in there, I like
Yeah.
the Flower Duet from Delibe. That's my
Yeah.
favourite.
Madam Butterfly is one of
Yeah.
my favorites as well. And
Not Oprah,
no,
opera.
yeah. You know, these are the conversations that Black people have to deal with. I've just recently started a new job. I've only been there a few weeks, and within 3 weeks, I've had someone say to me, "Oh, can you smile for me? Oh, I can see you now." That's the first thing. I've had one person very high up in a local hospital say, "Oh, that food is for the Black ones." Oh, no, sorry, I meant the brown ones. I've had what's the third thing? Oh, and I've had bullying at work. So this is just in a few weeks, and other people have started around the same time as me, and or longer, and haven't had to deal with any of that.
Can I just ask you something?
Yeah, sorry.
Obviously you don't have to give. What sector are you in without giving away where you actually work? What sector are you working in now? Your new job.
Hospitality.
Okay, so is like a hospital or a hotel or?
I can't divulge that.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, but it's hospitality.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Happens a lot. It happens. You see it in where I work in meetings and things like that, and it's quite sad. I wanted to touch on the police thing, but you mentioned about particularly numbers in the police. I think that we've got to understand that the numbers for us were never really an issue, as in how many of us in the police is not the issue. The issue is the fact that when we're in there, we're not organized enough. Because when you get in there, you can suffer. As I know, a friend of mine has suffered a lot of racism when he goes in there, and some have been pushed out, unfortunately, because of the racism. They go in there to make a difference as a black officer, and they are not able to do that. But the reason is because the other English officers are organized against us.
Yeah.
And their organization in doing the wrong thing is very, very strong. And for us, unfortunately, as a group, not all of us, our organization can be pretty poor. And there can be a lot of division.
And there is.
When we go into the force between who's from this side, who's from that side, who's lighter and this and that. And what that means is we don't have to all be best friends, but the organization isn't there. So when we go in there, we're just a bunch of individuals in the force. Whereas with the English people, they're a group, regardless of their differences. They're organized. So I think more organization from us and more collaboration and networking is probably the key, I think. Because the change is only going to come from a group.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely
We're suffering
right.
because of groups working together against us.
Yeah.
Did anybody see early on this year? It was Steve McQueen, and it was red, white, and blue about the first Met BME police officer and what he had to endure. And that was in the 60s, 60s, 70s.
What's a BBC Two? Oh, I'll have to download it.
BBC One. It was on BBC One, and it's a series of plays by Steve McQueen, and it was called Red, White, and Blue, and it's about the first Metropolitan BME police officer.
Red, white,
And I actually cried. I cried for his pain.
No, I haven't seen it. How long was he in the force for?
I think he did his full time. 2020, what I think it's 21 years, but he he came out as a superintendent, but he met with hell from what he was portrayed. So what you got to think, what was portrayed on the program, that's quite tame compared to what really happened, and it did cause division between his father and himself. But I'm glad he didn't give up. I'm glad because he's a pioneer.
Yeah.
He's a pioneer. He's a pioneer because he stood it out. It wasn't easy.
No.
And then I went to a conference and the guest speaker was Leroy Logan, who was the first BME police officer. Sorry to use the acronym.
Yeah, sorry, Jordan. One thing.
Sorry.
You should tell Jordan about the thing with acronyms.
No, I've embarrassed myself.
Yeah.
Jordan, forgive me.
So Jordan, at BVL, we don't use the acronym because the space is very specific. So we've just noticed that when we very in the very earlies of BVL, when the acronym, when that rule wasn't there, allowing people to use the acronym, the conversation spread out into different cultures and not just cultures, but different areas that the Black voice wasn't really a part of. The discussion just got pulled in a different direction. So we just decided to just the conversation, because it affects Black people. That's what we're talking about, and to make sure that we keep the conversation specific so that we can focus on solutions to how we can solve these problems we're talking about. We don't allow the acronym.
No, and I used it, and I know.
If it's the four-lettered one you're talking about, it's something that when I was at school,
Yeah.
I'm in my late 20s now. When I was at school, we were just known as African Caribbean or Afro Caribbean.
Yeah.
But now they've got this new four-letter term, which I don't know where it
And I'm neither of those.
came from. We never announced to ourselves that we wanted to be in this, and it lumps us in with other people who we don't actually even know who qualifies. For the last two letters, I don't even know who qualifies as that.
No.
So it's not only
I'm not a minority.
It's it's the I don't know, BME or BM.
Black, Asian, minority, ethnic.
Yeah, and we were never lumped in with other people. I don't know why.
And to be honest, everyone I've spoken
Who
to,
came up with that and then decided that would be
a good name. I have friends who are from the traveller community, Polish. They're like, we don't even like that. They're just not as vocal about it, because obviously the disparity is more towards Black people. That's literally people, the disparity is around our necks, so that's why we're probably more vocal. But they obviously don't like being grouped because the cultures are so different, the people are so different.
Geography, we're so different. We different continents.
Even African and Caribbean, there are differences.
Yeah, they are.
And I think people just, I remember at my church I having an issue around racism to discuss. And I was talking to a friend at church, and she said to me, have you tried talking to this person? And I said, I don't think he will understand. Yeah, but he's Black. Yeah, but he's from Africa, and he's from a specific country, which is completely different to my culture. But they just lump all the brown people all in one and just think, oh yeah, they'll sort themselves out. And it's really unhealthy for what they're trying to do, if they're trying to do anything at all. But I said to you, Jordan, I was going to explain about, I was going to tell you more about Black Voice Letchworth. So our organisation, we've been going now for about 2 years, and how it manifested was some years ago now, a good bit of years ago. I went to my local library in Letchworth Garden City, and I home educate my son. And I wanted to teach him about Black history. So I thought, the best way is to just go and get some books from the library and then devise a plan and then teach him. So I went to the library, and they only had about 4 or 5 books, and they were all on slavery. And in the entire of Hertfordshire, I couldn't find a book on Black history at all, for want of trying. So, I did bring it up with the management, and, there was a couple of events, Black history events, they had me down, and I dressed up as one of the Black history figures, etc. But nothing really changed in, really getting books on Black history there. So then more years passed, and the death of George Floyd happened, and I just had to really think about my contribution to how I felt about the situation, because I personally have a son, and I just didn't want the same thing to happen to him. And I was doing a lot of moaning, and I remember my father saying to me, you're doing a lot of moaning, but what are you doing about it? Not specifically about this situation, but just about other situations in my life. People always sit there and they moan, but those are the people that don't do anything. And I thought I didn't want to be one of those people that just sat there and just moaned about the situation and actually wasn't doing anything to actually commit to change. So being a woman of faith, I did a lot of, I settled with a lot of prayer, because at the time there was a lot of unrest within my friends. Friends were arguing about that whole situation. It was Brexit all over again, but the Blacksit, about Black Lives Matter and how they felt. And within my church, there was kind of division on it. And I really had to sit in prayer. And for me personally, God just said to me that there was a lot of pain in my town and people needed a lot of support. So I thought, right, okay. So a local girl was doing a Black Lives Matter protest. I wasn't really going to go along to it, because I didn't know how I felt about the whole going along to the protesting, because it was COVID at the time. There's lots of rules. But I went along to support her, because I'd tried to do a couple of anything pro-Black in my town, which is really, really conservative white. And it's been really difficult. So I had a PA system, and I thought I'll just go to help her. Anyway, went along, and I thought, if I'm going to go along to this Black Lives Matter, I'm not just going to go there and moan about how terrible people are to Black people. I'm going to go there with an actual action. So I thought, right, how about Black Voice Letchworth, and a community that the community can come to and get support, etc., and have the aim of opening the UK's first Black History Museum, Library and School of Cultural and Creative Arts. So a space where Black history and culture and creativity is a monument and celebrated, and also our creativity for the future is taught to our children, so that it's not reduced to a twerking video. So that our culture is understood and respected, and not just raped for millions or whatever, but what we actually provide on this planet is priceless. So there needs to be a space that actually is a monument to that, and that's what BVL's about. So we're opening that space, and we are supporting the Black community, specifically around disparity.
Okay, excellent. I think that's a good idea, because our history is so vast, it really needs to be told. Certainly I could learn a lot more about history, Black history, even not so much even in America, but just the contribution that Black people have made over here in Britain. I know there's quite a lot of books about where Black people have settled in, like Nottingham and Birmingham and Leicester and all them places. There's history there with people that have done things that I'm not too aware of, that I probably need to read up on. I mean, I was looking a few weeks ago at the 100 Great Black Britons.
Yeah. And
it's staggering. A lot of the people on the list are not necessarily people that are in the mainstream all the time, or people that you even know, but their names on there and what they've done. It's amazing how and how little really I knew on that list. So it's really something for me to research and to learn more about. I'm always interested in learning about my history, but I think there's more that I could be doing in terms of reading and things. And there's even a museum in Liverpool, I know, that it's a slave museum in Liverpool.
Yeah. Yes, there is. And I've yet to go
visit it with a group of children.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't manage to go. But yeah, that would be good for me.
And to add to that, you need to look at the work of Josiah Wedgwood, the potter, who was a slave abolitionist. He coined the phrase, "Am I not a man? Am I not a man and a brother?" It was nothing to do with George Floyd. What Josiah Wedgwood did in the 17th century, he designed a series of medallions for the rich gentry, and on there was an inscription, "Am I not a man and a brother?" And there is a picture of a black man with his hands clasped. So the phrase, "Am I not a man and a brother?" is nothing to do with George Floyd. It started here in England, and we need to look at the work of Josiah Wedgwood. And the Clark's family and shoes They were also slave abolitionists.
I see. I see.
Yeah, there's so much, history. And for me personally, I really enjoy, well, all Black history, but I enjoy learning about the fundamental building blocks for culture and art and law and theology worldwide, and realizing that Black people were the people that really laid the first building blocks for the cultures we see today. And it's really important that that's remembered, because at the moment, in every culture, in every country all over the world, it's we're treated as not the best, you know, right at the bottom. And we need to be honest about that. Um, that's why it's important that if you're Polish, if you're Indian, if you're from whatever culture you're from, understanding the Black presence in how you came to being, and respecting that the same way I would respect anybody for themselves. A lot of people would say, oh, I'm not racist, but I wouldn't date a Black girl, or wouldn't date a Black guy, or etc. That things like that is really disrespectful. It's kind of, we're good enough for a song and dance. We're good enough for you to eat our food. You love our jerk chicken, but we're not good enough to be in your home, or we're not good enough for you to sit next to on the bus, and that all stems from miseducation, because people don't know. They really don't know. I think most people would say, if you were to ask them on the street, how the Black people came into this country, they would say probably Windrush. They would think that before Windrush, the whole of Britain was white and there was no Black people. But a Black man used to rule this country. He was practically the king of this country, or the emperor. I think they would name it time with Rome. Have you heard of Septimus Severus, Jordan?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, look him up. There's so much history in Britain. There really is. There's all over Europe. There really is so much history. And noting that castles is an African thing. The fact that the royal family and their wealth, how they acquired that wealth, it was through Africa. And obviously the history of what they did. And it's not a downplay on the Queen, because she's part of England, she's part of English heritage. But I think it's really important, if we're to remember Hitler and his shenanigans, so that we don't repeat it for the future. It's also important that we remember our mistakes of the past, so that we don't repeat it for the future. And it may be uncomfortable, but that's what we've got to do.
Yeah, that does make sense. I mean, looking even through history, you see Queen Victoria, she had a Black goddaughter, didn't she?
She did.
Yeah, and there's loads of evidence of Black people here in the Victorian times. Sorry?
She was called Sarah, and she went to Rodine School.
Right, yeah.
Yes, I remember
Sarah.
that. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, so there is quite a lot of history there, even way before Windrush, and I think that perhaps we don't get the credit in this country that we deserve for our contributions to it before and after Windrush. So it is sad that we're not as appreciated here as we should be, and that is no more evident than what happened a few years ago with the whole Windrush scandal. So the people that made the hardest contribution to the country after the Second World War, were treated in the most appalling way, and assets stripped, and then taken back. Some of them to their islands where they hadn't been in since they were a child. So there is a lot of work and a lot that the country actually owes us. The positive contributions we've made to the country, and it's something I think for us future generations to crack on and try to break through, sort of glass ceilings as you call it, and things, so that things can improve. Certainly in the last 2 years since George Floyd, I've noticed at my workplace there's more focus on well-being, and I don't know about you two, but managers have been asking at monthly meetings and one-to-ones how I am and well-being and all this, and sort of diversity and things like that. So maybe there is a shift starting to happen, but certainly the protests have made a big impact, certainly in workspaces nowadays. And I think it is a good thing, because in times gone by, maybe 15, 20 years ago, workplaces could probably care less about your mental health. You were just an employee, you're there to get on with the job, and you are there to do it. So maybe now it's a bit, it's changing for the better, maybe with more working from home. You're not in the office all the time, maybe that can help sometimes for those of us who can work from home with well-being and things. I do a hybrid thing where I work from home and then sometimes work in the office. But I think if things are slowly going to change, we need to capitalize and take advantage as Black people of that. And if we're going to make change, then it's only a positive thing, from there, really.
Do you think that because I'm seeing this a lot, like my managers constantly ask me if I'm okay, like as you said that. I know that obviously, and yes, you're right about everything you just said. Everything you just said. It's great, because before they wouldn't have asked anything. They wouldn't have been bothered about anything, or even recognized that you needed to be asked if you're okay, or maybe not. I don't know. But do you think they're really asking it, or are they just asking it because of Black Lives Matter? Because that's kind of shifted something so that they can say that yes, we are asking these questions of those employees who are Black, and asking if they are okay, etc. Because that in itself is tokenistic also. Do you think that because are they my thing is that when I'm just seeing the kindness, are you okay, is everything okay, are you okay, is everything okay, without them actually doing the work, I'm not seeing any I don't know what they call now, for want of a better description, diversity and inclusion courses. I don't really like them, because they don't teach anything about the Black community. They don't teach the person anything about the Black community specifically. But they're not informing themselves, is what I'm saying. It's kind of, maybe a mail shot went out to the management or the leads of whatever said company, and there was a little blurb about Black Lives Matter, and just ensure that Black employees know that you can come and talk to them about anything, da 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 da. But I found that those managers aren't trained to deal with situations that would affect a Black person. So microaggressions, most managers won't know how to deal with that. And I have had a lot of microaggressions since I've started my job, and I've had to really consider whether it's worth saying anything, because if you say something, it goes badly against you, because they will get an opinion of you that that will demonize you and then affect your job, and you just want to come and work. You don't want to be coming to work as the Black girl, you just want to come to work as Michaelia, And I just think the work isn't being done as far as informing themselves as well as noting, are you okay? What do you guys think?
So there are going to be many managers who it's just a tick box exercise, and many companies who will do that. But the reason they're doing that is because you've got a lot of these companies who, for the most part, the boards or people in charge are going to be white. So if one company doesn't do it, the other company will do it, and then they'll say, "Look, we're ahead on the diversity claim." So for all of the other people that aren't white, come to our company because we're better at including you and things, and then the other companies lose out. So it's like a competition. They're not doing it because they want to, but because if I don't, this person will, and then they'll get the talent. And then if I don't, I'll look bad and the other company looks good, and we're competing anyway. So I have to do it because they're jumping on the bandwagon now.
Yeah.
So for my perspective, most of them would probably be doing it for that reason, not a genuine actual sort of appreciation for the actual colleague.
Which is causing more harm that way.
I agree on that bit.
Yeah, it's just basically them competing against each other. So this company has to do it because they have put it on their website and they've got the pictures and they've got the speakers who are, from don't know how to call it, the ethnic sort of minority community, if you see what I mean. So then they're just competing with each other basically, rather than actually. There's probably very few that genuinely care. They just have to do it, and the reason why you know that they don't care is when it comes to things like pay. I've been reading so many articles over the past week about the ethnic pay gap and the gender pay gap, and particularly with Black women being one of, I think, out of all the races of women, they're the most underpaid in the corporate sector. And this is even in America and I think over here. And, for the work and all the talent that a lot of Black women have out there, to be underpaid for probably doing the same job as someone else of a different ethnicity is crazy to me.
Yeah.
But yet we're having these reports come out about how much cents to the dollar this person earns to that. So, if we see change in that area, that'll be something that will really show us, if they want to show us that, hey, we really do care, then fix that, because that's a major issue.
Yeah.
With the cost of living going up now.
And just to the back of that, Jordan, not just with paying us what we're worth, but even as an organization, us as BVL, one of the things we have noted to people is when they come to us and say that they want help with their diversity and inclusion initiatives. They want to find out what Black people think about this, that, and the other. So that takes a lot of time. Okay, because I have to speak to my advisors, they have to advise me. It's a whole process. We don't just like meet up and then give you a load of stuff. This is carefully put together and it takes time. So we do ask for a donation for that to our organization and services. And one organization has been professional about it and has followed through with showing us the respect of, but most of them either ignore or don't come to us for the information, or they get offended because they are, I don't know, they're already a charity, they're already this, they're already that. But you're coming to us for a service. And I can see on your website that you're going to different people for courses, and you obviously those courses aren't free. When you need a DBS check isn't free. That's a service. You have to pay for that. You're coming to the Black community. We already don't get any money. We don't get any funding. So BVL is completely independent, right? So it's being funded by just me, okay, doing it until we get somebody that's actually, and obviously people donating, etc., not just myself, but other people donating. But You're coming to organizations, not just BVL, but Black organizations don't get the funding that they should to do the things they do to support the community. And you're coming to them and saying, oh, I'm from this organization. We really like to connect with the Black community and find out what they think about this and what they think about that. Great, wonderful. Thank you so much for coming over, and it's great to connect with you. However, we will be asking for donation for this. It takes time. We're all volunteers, we're not being paid. And I think it's insulting that people would come with not what we call in the Caribbean with their hands swinging, because we have to go to.
My mum calls it your too long hand.
Yeah.
My mother always said you walk with your long hand. Yep, same thing. Yeah, we know. Yeah.
And it's just another way of us, for want of a better description, of us being raped again.
It is.
You know, how much more do you want from us? Even in our, in our struggle, you still want to take from us. You come to us with your hands swinging, oh, I'm a charity, oh, I'm this. Yeah, we even let you've had funding. We've had no funding. And the funding that we did apply for from an organization, that was blessing blocked. By a lady who was going behind BVL backs, and who was actually the then officer that was supposed to be helping organizations, stopped us from getting what we were supposed to be getting, and then was working with other organizations to block. It was just a whole political thing, and I had to complain about it. It's all in the press anyway. It's been out there. Since then, that organization hasn't even come to apologize, hasn't even come to say, are you guys okay? Do you need support? We've hired someone else. This person is going to support you through the actual process to get there. No, they've hired someone else. And because they're friends with that person, is actually acting shady towards BVL also. I'll just put it out there, because that's what happened. That's what actually happens. So this whole thing of not giving us what we're worth is a bit of a grind to me, because I'm sick and tired of people taking from us and not giving us our worth, taking our ideas, not paying us what we're worth, and coming to us asking us for our opinions and not paying. Sorry, that's my rant.
No, it's agreed. Sometimes I think it comes sometimes with each other. Maybe sometimes we want things from each other for free.
Yes.
So maybe the self-worth maybe sometimes isn't there, so that we don't even feel that we need to pay someone else for things. I mean, the best example I can think of is some of our brothers and sisters who do consultancy work. Some people do management consultancy, some people are lawyers and things, and work in local councils. I work in one and stuff, but people higher up who have a lot of information. Sometimes people want to come to them with ideas and that, and they just want to sort of pick their brains, so to speak. But they usually don't do that with white people. They ask them for a consultancy fee before they even speak to them.
Yeah.
Yes.
But with us, we're supposed to give away
give it away for free.
For free, yeah.
For free.
And then when you do charge, some people feel insulted. They're insulted by the fact that you charge for your services. Say you're good at artwork, or you're good at at anything. You're supposed to charge for it. If it's all things being equal, though, you do have to provide a good service.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Some of us aren't good at doing that.
Yeah.
But some of us do that.
But the thing is as well, Jordan, even if our service at BVL is exemplary.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
It's top. I mean, you may not see them, but as well as Sonia, we are very well connected. However, there's no way I'm going to phone our connections up and ask them with regards to their advice, because they take their jobs very seriously, especially when they're speaking on behalf of the Black community. And that's their time. They're very important people. And I'm not going to say to them, oh, they just want you to do it. That's a whole disrespect. It's like, do you know, in African culture, the bride price?
Mm.
You're familiar.
Yeah.
Not really, no.
So in Nigerian and I think Ghanaian, well, I think the quite healthy amount of Africa as a continent, they're familiar with the bride price. So it's basically a
It's like a
price,
dowry. Yeah.
yeah, a dowry. It's a dowry that you would give to the wife's or the said wife's family. And it's not really about the amount. It's just about the husband showing, or the husband to be showing that he values what he's getting, because he's not just getting a human being, he's getting children, he's getting someone to look after his house, he's getting a lot. So he's just showing value and respect to the family that he's getting that from, and also value to showing the value of the wife he's getting. Yeah. So I just feel like, where's our bride price?
I also I hate when it's Black History Month, right? They expect you, they assume you're going to be in the kitchen cooking the curry goat and jerk chicken, and I always say to them I can't cook. I'm that one black girl who can't cook. I always say to them I'm better off on the dance floor than in the kitchen,
Yeah.
because I think to myself, you've not listened to me the whole year, but this one time in October, I'm all of a sudden flavour of the month. I can't cook.
Yeah.
That's where they want to put you, in the kitchen, and I'm sorry. I'm not doing no jerk chicken. I'm not cooking no curry goat. No, no,
Again,
no.
it's
I,
tokenism. Again, they just want to have you for the jerk chicken and rice, but they
mhm,
don't want to do the work.
yeah,
Don't get me wrong, I love my jerk. Well, I'm vegan now, but jerk chicken and rice is
yeah,
great.
yeah.
Okay, not going to say no. However, the work needs to be done. You can have those events for Black History Month. Food is great. It brings people together. It's wonderful. It's tasty. However, you do need to do the work. You do need to find out about the disparity numbers. You do need to take action. It's not enough to, oh, it's terrible about, what happened there. It's terrible about the statistics. You need to take some action and not just throw money into a charity. Do something within your own organization that actually applies change. You know, that's what it's about, not just having these parties, because otherwise it's tokenistic,
It
you
is.
know.
Yeah, and that's how I feel about it. You know, I say to them, I'm an academic. I'm an academic. So value my worth. Value my worth. I went to uni, I say, and they look at you to think, you, and I say, yes, me.
Yeah, it is. I agree. It is tokenistic. Definitely. I was thinking to myself this week. I was looking at some WhatsApps, and I had there's a new black business near me that's selling quite a lot of stuff. So I'm gonna go and check it out. I'm gonna
Good, good
WhatsApp it, yeah, to my
support
friends.
your brother and sister.
Definitely, definitely. I just wanted to ask you because I've thought about this for a while now. A lot of the times I go out and I see a lot of other businesses, people who own other businesses that are outside our community, whether it be restaurants or shops and things. And
Or the hairdressing salon, or who.
yeah,
Yeah, I know what you're talking. I know where you're coming from.
the age old thing of why
Yeah,
don't we have
yeah.
as many black businesses as we should? Even say Caribbean restaurants, we don't have many that are like you'd dress up and you'd go out to eat in say London for them. There's loads of takeaways, but those restaurants where you can sit 50, 60 people, how many of them do we even have in London that someone would dress? I knew one near Docklands that we used to
Mhm.
go to. It's very nice, but I think it closed, unfortunately. But I don't think there's that many. And then it got me thinking, why don't we have more say, black businesses over here. So one argument is that, okay, we don't work together, this and that, blah, blah, blah. But then there's another side, which I've been thinking about lately, is many of us get sabotaged when we actually go into business by the local governments,
We
by
do.
the health and safety audits, by this and that. And we're very strictly regulated, and we're any little thing, we've got the hammer down ready for our business to close it.
They're waiting
And
for us. They're waiting.
yes, and other communities don't have that. So I just wanted to ask whether you think that that's probably more of the reason why we don't have any. Not that we're not capable or we don't work together. It's just simply that we do try. It's like we've got a whole force coming at us from day one that other communities don't have.
Yeah, it's a mental. It's a mental slavery.
Okay, so I've recently gone through, but I've had a conversation about this with some people. The reason why is definitely what you've said, the barriers. So you've touched upon obviously there is the institutional barriers, but it's also the barriers within our own community. Now, I live in a majority white area, and you would think from, that other Black people would want to hear about Black Boys Letchworth or whatever, and be like, yeah, oh, that's great, I'm going to come and help. No. When it's successful, when it's doing something, say when we open our restaurant, for example, and it's doing well, they'll come then and probably criticize, oh, it's not like this, but it's fine. But they won't help get the structure up there, and actually will do things to destroy it. If I'm honest, that's what. Okay, I'm not. I will say I'm generalizing. That's from my personal experience so far on this journey. I have found, unfortunately or fortunately, people, barring of course Sonia, but in my opinion Sonia doesn't count because she's been doing this for a long time, so a lot of the things
I'm only 21, Jordan. Just telling you porcupine.
I see.
I'm not old. Don't you dare say I'm old. I've been doing it for a long time. No. No, I'm only 21.
Everything I'm going through now, Sonia has been through twice, 3 times, 10 times over. So Sonia literally can look at someone and know the end result. That's been my experience with her. Okay. Me, it takes me time.
Your hard ears.
Hard ears. I'm like, Sonia will call it sometimes to the month, to the actual what they're going to do. And she will just call it straight away because she's been around for it. She's had more experience.
You see it. You get to know you know what's going to happen. I look at Turtle Bay.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's said it's authentic Caribbean restaurant, but the people who own Turtle Bay are not from the Caribbean. But why are they successful?
Because they're not okay. So you can be successful with a Caribbean business if you're not Caribbean or if you're not Black. Okay, so the closer you are to privilege, the better you are. Okay, so for want of a better description, if your partner is white, and I'm being honest here, this is generalizing, so it doesn't mean when you marry someone who's white you're going to get successful business. So I'm just talking about how it is. Okay, if you're have a lot of if you're connected to a lot of white friends who are already connected and they like you as their Black friend, oh, he's all right, yeah, he's all right,
he's one of us.
Yes, he's one of us. But you mustn't talk about Black Lives Matter. Don't talk about supporting Black people. Don't talk about races. Don't talk about any of those stuff, providing you talk about anything that's not black, be black, but be white as possible, you'll be fine.
You fit in the status quo.
Yes, absolutely. You'll absolutely be fine. Do not be somebody that calls people out on their racism, question this, questions that. Obviously, overt stuff, like someone calling someone the N-word, obviously, that's brought up. But that's the black people that I've seen that have had successful businesses in the area I live in. That's how they operate. They quote unquote, they play the game, as it were. And the reason why I think personally that black people don't have businesses, like we would see like Quaglino's restaurant, like a nice restaurant you get dressed up for, is we have our own problems within our own community. So when you say black, what do you mean? Do you mean Caribbean? When you say Caribbean, what do you mean? Because is it Black Caribbean? Is it Indian Caribbean? Is it Chinese Caribbean? There's a whole split within that. So we have our own issues that obviously that we're dealing with as well. And that's comes into play. And yes, other black people do try and pull other black people down. Just this week, I've experienced it. I've had, I hate to say it, I've had most recently more aid towards supporting black people from people who were organizations led by white leads than I have from black leads. And that's sad.
That is quite sad, actually.
That is very sad. That is very, very sad.
Now, you could say, oh, they're just doing it, to get their I'm not racist t-shirt. Maybe they are. But I need to be in a certain position, get BVL in a certain position to be able to aid in the way I need to aid my community. And the black people I'm going to that said that they've been doing this for years and they're not helping me. And then the help I need to, if anything, they're doing things behind my back to kind of demonize and discredit. So I'm going with where I'm led. Again, I mentioned I'm a spiritual person, so I do pray on these things for direction. And I'm not always led towards the black person. I'm led towards the person that's actually going to make whatever action I need to manifest happen. And that person can be black, Asian, Chinese, whoever it is. But what's important is that black people are supported at the end of it. That's why the journey started. The Lord told me that black people needed, there was a lot of pain and black people needed support in where I lived, and that's how BVL manifested. We now have not just a local reach, but a national reach as well as an international reach as well, which I haven't talked too much about because those things are in early stages. But yeah, that's the unfortunate thing I've gone through.
One of the things I always say, I want to be judged not by the color of my skin, but by merits and achievements.
Exactly.
And that's what I always sing out. And I say to the young boys and young girls that I assist how the pen is mightier than the sword. I'm not your bitch. I'm not your hoe. My name is, I say to them, is
language, Sonia.
I know, sorry, but I have. Sometimes you have to say it with these young men, otherwise they're going to end
Close your ears, Jordan. Close your ears.
Yeah, they're going to.
I'm old enough. Don't worry.
They're going to end up in the criminal justice system, and from once they're in there, they won't come out. We don't want them in there. So sometimes you have to think outside the box.
Yeah.
And I always say that, and I knock it, and I say I want to be judged. Right, on my own merits and achievements, and not by my colour of my skin. And they always look at you and they always think, I'm not an angry black woman. I'm just saying what I say. No more.
I just every time I step out, get dressed, wash my face, out there.
Customer.
A constant. It's constant. It's not me wearing a chip on my shoulder. It's constant. I just want to go to work and come home. Oh, what ethnicity are you? Just why do you need to know my ethnicity? I don't understand. Okay, you could say someone's just being nice, but I don't understand for my friends who are white and actually some of my other friends who are from different ethnicities. Um, why does that have to be a conversation starter? With me, it's always a conversation, my ethnicity or something to do with my ethnicity. It has to be a conversation starter. You know, something like oh, do you like food? I'm like, yeah, I do. I don't really like much spicy food though. Okay, that
Where
was
did that come in? Where did that slip in?
why why does
Yeah.
why I don't understand. But my other friends don't the conversation doesn't flow that way. Do
No.
you understand?
Yeah.
And sometimes I just want a conversation to flow because of just a normal conversation between two people rather than me constantly having to be the black girl.
Yeah.
So they have to talk about, oh, I had a lovely holiday in Jamaica and it was lovely. Oh, you do have beautiful skin, don't you? Thank you. But that was random. My friend's
What?
standing here. How come
The
you
other
didn't say?
one, yeah. The other one that gets me is when they talk about that. Can I touch your hair?
No, you can't.
And the next thing you know, before you've even had chance to answer, they've got their hands in your hair.
No, you can't
Yeah, a lot of
touch.
women, black women, have said to me that that's one of the most annoying things
Mm.
Yeah.
that people do because there's no real need to do it,
Yeah.
and even worse, that they use your hairstyle because I don't
Yeah.
know if any of you have watched the program Blackish.
Yeah.
Yes, I have.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I saw the episode where they did the hair thing, and it was very, very good. Where they brought in strangers to talk about the different hair, and they went through all the different hair. It's something I didn't know
Mm.
about 40 different ways in which black women could style their hair, and sometimes when you choose all of how many you want to choose, it's used as a weapon against you, especially in the corporate space,
Mm. It is.
as something that you're supposed to conform to a certain way, and if it's not done a certain way, a lot of things are made up about. They sort of make up policy on the spot, basically. If they're not happy,
Yeah.
then all of a sudden policy starts coming in about how it's not professional. It needs to be like this and like that. I mean, just was it last year they had that school in West London
Yes,
where
they did. I
the
remember.
boy had his hair in dreadlocks and they tried
Mm.
to say that it was cult like, and
Mm.
then I think he got suspended, and then the black child agenda got onto it, and the kids protested. They went out of class and protested. Then the parents protested, and then a lot of other people protested, and I think they managed to get the child reinstated back to school. I don't know if the headmaster was fired or something, but
He was fired.
yeah, because I remember it came on the news last year, and that's just some of the things that we have to go through, even regarding our hair. Obviously, men, there's a lot probably less we can do with it than women, but just something as simple and as natural as your hair is used as a weapon against you.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous,
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
you know.
I'm sorry to interrupt you here about cornrow. I've had young BME young men, sorry, again, who have been excluded from school because they've had gangster hairstyle. Gangster hairstyle. Let me tell you back to what the word cornrow comes from. Back in slavery, the hair was braided and they would actually put corn in the hair. So when you escaped, you would never go hungry because you'd be able to sow your corn, hence the word corn row.
Or Cane Road, depending
Yeah,
on where you
yeah,
come in the
yeah. And
Caribbean.
also in the mat, in your hair, and that the braid would have be styled, and that was your way out. That would be the map. Did you know that, Jordan?
Only in the last couple of weeks, because someone sent me a video on that where
Yeah.
people would braid their hair
Yeah.
in a certain way and it'd be
Yeah.
used as a map out.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm used to the songs that they used to sing
Yeah.
in church on Sunday, and the songs had codes in them
Yeah.
as to
That's
where to
right.
go and where not to go. And obviously that worked until we had people that used to inform and then that sort of sabotage things. But yeah, I only found that out recently. It's
Yeah.
pretty ingenious.
So,
Yeah.
and also the Runnymede did a study on this, a report, and 1 in 4 Afro-Caribbeans have been excluded from work or school for wearing the hair in a natural hairstyle. 1 in 4. That's quite a lot.
Mm.
And that reinforces what you just said, Jordan. So if you don't
Yeah.
have the hair straight, even when you plait your hair, they don't like it. That it doesn't fit in with the stereotypical image of what a black woman looks like. They want to control you.
And it's not just from the outside the community, it's also within the community as well. Because I'm, as you can see, I've gone for the natural look, inspired by Sonia.
I'm rocking the Angela Davis.
Yes. I don't get me wrong, I'll put on a wig now and then when I'm going somewhere and I feel to be Sheila today. Beyonce next. But I've never experienced my actual hair and how connected to me it is, actually just styling my hair and the spiritual connection from just having my own hair. And also, I had to really realize that as a mother, I'm also a leader. I'm also imprinting on my son what he should expect from a Black woman, because one day he's going to obviously start dating. And he was asking me why I covered it. And I didn't think I was covering my hair. I thought it was just a style because obviously I was, he had me, I was been wearing wigs for many, many years. And I didn't, for me personally, I didn't think it was showing him that I loved my own hair. You can wear wigs, you can have the extensions or whatever, and that's all great too. But he wasn't seeing me, embracing me as a Black woman with my hair. And I thought that wasn't healthy. And I thought that, is there a part of me that didn't like my natural state hair? Is that something that I needed to sit with and really evaluate? What was it within me? Was it like, because from a very young age, as most Black girls, the hot comb is used on your hair. Well, I know for me it was anyway. And then you go to relaxers very straight away. And I was told that my natural state hair wasn't pretty. I come from a very mixed family, so I've mixed with Indian, different mixes. So the hair is the hair in my family is very, very different, and my hair is very, very close to the African roots. Yes. And out of all my cousins, I remember being severely picked on because of that. And I was wondering if it stemmed from that, me in very early stages not wanting to have my natural state hair. And I thought, you know what? I'm a leader of a Black group. I have a Black son. I think it's important that I really embrace my natural state. And ever since I've felt so free. I felt so free. I went swimming last a couple of weeks ago with my hair, and it felt amazing. It really did. So I really recommend it.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful.
Yeah, that's very good. That's very good.
And that is really inspirational.
Yeah. And I've
That is
been
very,
loving it.
very,
I've just
very
literally been doing just natural stuff on it.
inspirational.
And I can't believe the hair because my grandmother used to told me that my hair will never ever grow. It doesn't grow. And I believed my hair doesn't grow, but I've just literally been just keeping it clean, obviously washing it and using a mixture of oils. And it's been growing. It's been growing. It's been
That's good.
healthy.
That's good.
It's great. I'm loving it. So yeah,
You've got
really
to
do
be proud.
recommend her.
I was gonna say you've got to be proud of your roots.
Yeah, I think that's super important. I think for Black people, I think our hairs there's a spiritual connection with our hair. I
Mm.
think that it's not just hair for us.
Yeah.
Recently, I went to a local hairdresser. White is a white-owned business, but I saw a Black girl in there, and I wanted to support her. So, excuse me. Oh, so I went. I've been in a couple of times, and I'm missing a lot that I would get from a Black hairdresser. And I was trying to, on the second appointment that I went to her, I was trying to evaluate what I'm missing from a Black hairdresser. I think, first of all, um, I think when you go to a hairdresser, yes, people may stare at you because of, you're having your hair done or whatever, and that style may look really cute. They may want to have that style. But I found it really uncomfortable going in. And I didn't express this to the hairdresser because it probably wasn't the right place. But I did find it uncomfortable, people staring at me because they wanted to see about, 4C hair, and what it did and how to do it. That kind of stare. It felt like, I was in a what do you call it? In a zoo. I know that wasn't the intention, but when I come to the hairdresser, I just want to um culturally, I just want to relax how I relax. Um and I don't I want the hairdresser to know about my hair, be comfortable with 4C hair. And I don't think that was entirely the case. So that was it's a strange thing because locally, have spoken with a couple of hairdressers about supporting the Black community with their hair, and some of them have strongly expressed that they would love to, and they're looking at getting training on how to do that. However, again, it's not just getting in the clients, it's about doing the work. It's about getting the new people coming in to do the work on education on Black hair and what it means for Black people. um and Black people just get their hair done differently. That's what we get. It's a whole experience because we're very spiritual. We're very we're very spiritual. Everything we do is there's a spiritual connection to how we style our hair. Okay, what we do with our hair, what we do, how we eat, everything. There's some sort of, old wives' tale about everything, how we have children, how we date, how we not date, etc. And everything is connected. So when that element is pulled out and you just have, I don't know, just a hairdresser that knows how to do hair, a Black person isn't completely supported because they're not being supported in all the elements that make them. So it's not the experience that will enrich them. You can have a plant and just give it water, but if it isn't in an environment that is supportive of that specific plant, it won't grow, it will die. Does that make any sense? Am I making any sense?
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. It's an experience for us. I mean, with our own hair, and it's so complex. The film Barbershop does come to mind.
Yeah.
I really only feel comfortable, in a sort of Black barber really with my hair, and it's not just the getting your hair cut and things. It's just the conversations. The barbershop is an age-old place where people talk about all the issues in their own personal lives and with the black community as well and that and stuff. Some people go in there and they talk things that they don't really understand.
Yeah.
But you can get a lot of wisdom in those shops. A lot of the barbers, are very educated. They're skilled at barbering. I've always, some people may not, but I've always respected our brothers and sisters who have those skills. Not everybody has to be academic, and using skills to to pay the bills is always a good thing. Because sometimes if you just have a corporate job and then you lose that, sometimes it's very difficult. But when you have a skill to cut hair, to braid hair, you can always charge anyone in the community anywhere and feed your family off of that. So I've always respected people that have those skills and things. It's an experience for us when we go there and we
Me?
get our hair done and things. It's just a shame
Mm.
more of us don't own them, because if we own them, our wealth gap wouldn't be so far lagging behind, you see, other groups. Because I think business is one of the main things that builds wealth.
How do you go about owning commercial property? Because BVL really needs, every time I ask someone about supporting BVL with how we go about acquiring a commercial property of some sort, everyone's really cagey with the information. Have you found that, Sonia?
Yeah,
Jordan, I don't know.
yeah.
I haven't really sort of asked too many people about that, but I think it may just be an issue of depends on who you ask. Someone that's probably into real estate will probably know, or someone that has a business already. But the thing is with commercial real estate, there's just the laws around it and things, and then getting the bank involved in the financing. It can be a long and drawn out process. So sometimes it's always best to get that information from someone that you can rely on and that's legit.
Yeah.
Because there are loads of people that are sort of armchair lawyers. They know all the laws from their armchair. They've never actually done it themselves or owned any real estate themselves, but they're experts at real estate. So you've probably just been a bit unlucky with who you've asked, but I'm sure someone out there will give you the information that you need, because it would be better for a lot of us to own more of the buildings,
Yeah.
that we tend to do business. And
So I tell you what my pet gripe is when you go to buy your hair products, right? You've got a gentleman who's telling you what's best for your hair, but has no affinity to you, and I'm just looking. Pardon me. Well, it's true. Am I speaking wrong? He's telling you what hair oil is the best for your hair, and he's not trained, but he's telling you because what he is, he's a good salesman. And the next thing you come out with a bag full of rubbish because none of it's going to be suitable for your hair.
Yeah. Because when the main one I go to is Pax in Finsbury Park. Don't know if you.
Yeah, I know it.
You know it.
yeah, I know Pax.
know it.
Yeah, I've been in there before. Yeah,
Yeah, I know Pack. They follow you around. They follow you.
They do follow you. They follow you. I'm like, why are you here? You can see me from the walking around. Are you on your? It's just anyway. So one time I went to find out I needed like a grow something for my scalp, and I didn't know which one to choose. So I said, which one should I choose? Because I don't know. I'm looking for just a growth thing. And he said, well, a lot of women buy this one, so I think you should get this one. I'm like, well, I don't think I should, because it had a specific ingredient that my the then hairdresser said not to get or whatever. I think I should get this one because it looked like the one she was using in the shop. Oh no, get this one because this is the one that everybody buys. I was like, oh right, okay. But just we need more spaces that understand us.
Do you know the black hairdressing business, how much it's worth?
Yes.
Do you know how much it's worth? It's worth a lot because even Superdrug is now selling black hair products. You can get it in Boots, and a certain Tesco's in London. You can buy the product, so you know it's worth a lot.
It's worth money.
When
It's in the
Superdry start
trillions.
selling it, yeah, it's a
Why aren't there any black owned corner shops?
because
I'm sure there are,
yeah.
but why I'm not seeing black owned stuff? I'm seeing a lot of self-employed stuff, but I'm not, like Jordan said, I'm not seeing. In Letchworth we have a gentleman who has a koi koi. That's a South African restaurant. But I don't. If I'm wrong, forgive me, but I don't think that's outright his. I think he has a business partner who's white, but I might be. That might be wrong.
I don't know that.
Yeah, I don't know. But again, that's a South African restaurant. But it's his business. It's still his business. But as far as owning property and etc., it's very rare.
It's sad. It's sad. I mean, going back to the film Barbershop, the quintessential character in there is Cedric the Entertainer, because wherever you go in a black barber or a hairdresser, there's always a character like Cedric the Entertainer, the one who commands control of the business. Because when you go to the hairdresser, you know what, regardless of what time they booked you in, you're going to be there all day.
Yeah.
And you may as well bring food with you. If you bring food, you may as well bring for everybody else, because it's going to be a communal supper. And I love the barbers. I love the hairdressers, because it's true. I love that. You know, we moan that we're there all day, but you know what? We're all involved in the conversation, and by the end of it, we put the world to right. And we got there for 10 o'clock, and at 6 o'clock, we're still there thinking, I can fancy some curry goat now. And it's true. And she hasn't finished my hair yet, but you're happy.
Well, I went to that white hairdresser's, and she couldn't finish fast enough. I was there for 2 hours. She even let me go home with wet hair, because she said, I'll leave the conditioner in and you can wash it when you get home.
I'm sorry.
She wrapped my hair in a plastic bag, and I put my hat over it and I washed it. The conditioner in it did make the hair lovely and softer. That was great. However, I just thought it was hilarious.
But you wouldn't,
because the thing is, she's hiring a chair, and she's got a certain amount of clients to come in to make her money. So she can only have me in for that time. But that's the other thing I didn't feel comfortable, because at a black hairdresser, they're not rushing you. No,
there's no time. There's no time, and I love that. I love that park. I think it's so very much part of our culture.
Yeah.
What park is that?
Sorry?
What park is that you were saying?
Park?
Yeah, I thought you said.
Sorry.
A park?
Sorry, I just stepped out of the room for a minute. Were you saying something about a park?
No, I said it's part of.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Part, yeah.
Yeah.
Part, and I think that's very much that I love watching what makes us human. Well, that is what makes us Afro-Caribbean. That is part of our culture, and it's very important we educate our children, okay, with that, because otherwise all those things get lost. Going to church, we moan and we groan, but that's part of our culture. Otherwise all those things get. Sorry, she won't go. Otherwise, those things get lost. Sorry about that. And that's very, very important, And I encourage that. And then people roll their eyes, purse their lips, and I just thought, hey, I'm going to carry on. We go to funerals, there's always a certain group who will get this. Once they've washed their hair, not washed their hands, cover their hair, they're serving the food. The most miserable waitresses ever. But you know what? They'll make that food, as they call it, stretch, so everybody will get a plate. And I'm just saying, that is part of us. So I always say to you are my children's age, the both of you. We got to be black. We got to be proud. Okay, we got to sing our praises. We
Yeah,
got to be proud of our roots, and we have to live our lives, and we've got to love ourselves.
Have you guys got any advice about how we deal with um those within our community that, you know, that go out of their way to even pull us down? I
yeah,
know, so I know in my work history, there's been Black people that have said that they don't want other Black people working there because once you get more Blacks there, it starts going downhill. Have you ever heard that opinion?
Yeah.
yeah. It's sad, but some of them have been, they hate themselves, so that's the first thing. And many of them are afraid of the dominant society, let's call it the European. Many of us in our community are afraid of them just as a people. So they like the status quo as it is, and they are prepared to go through life accepting mistreatment, accepting abuse, and that's just the cost of having, of having a life. They go to work, they get their paycheck, they go on the weekend, they go out and get drunk and do whatnot, and that's just, they go back to usual. It's something that someone called, I remember someone on the radio saying that a lot of Black people feel that the white folks will do all the heavy lifting and all the hard work in the society and in the world, and we'll just be the children that just get our paycheck at the end of the week, and we just, turn up and party, and everything's about a party, and we'll leave all the serious stuff to them. And then when you get people like us three and others, they're actually talking about being bosses and changing things and changing the world. They get very frightened because it's now a world where they're required to do something other than just party all the time. So we have to understand many of the people in our community deep down have a fear of the unknown. They're used to things as it is. They know exactly what's going on. They know the injustices, but in their mind, they've reasoned that it's a small price to pay to have a quote unquote easy life, and so they're not prepared for any struggle. If we look through our leaders, Martin Luther King and others, there were many at the time that didn't support him from our community.
True, that's true.
I read one time someone, I think it was a brother, attacked him with a letter opener, and he had to go to hospital. There's many people that didn't support Malcolm X. There's many people over here that didn't support many of the other leaders. And
That's right. Nelson Mandela springs to mind.
yeah, some of them are paid, but a lot of them would gladly do it for free because they simply don't want change. You see, if things shifted and we had a society where things are fairer, you'd also have a society where we'd start to be in leadership positions, and that requires a lot of commitment, accountability, and a lot of hard work. And if I'm honest, many of us don't want that. We see a comfortable life, we'll try and win the lottery, make it big, and just coast through life, and that's it. And then when you upset the apple cart and try to make change, it's a frightening process. So we do have to remember some of our people are very apprehensive about a future that would benefit them, but they're apprehensive about it. I think, remember, during slavery, there were people that Harriet Tubman was trying to free on the Underground Railroad.
Yes.
And they were so afraid, they would stop halfway through and then say, oh, I'm too afraid to go to freedom. Let me just go back to the plantation. I promise I won't tell. But she was smart than that. She said, well, either you die here or you come with me. And some of them had to die because they were afraid of the unknown. They'd made up in their minds that, okay, on the plantation, I get beaten, I get whipped, I have to work 10 hours in the hot sun, but after that, I get my food, I get my water, I get my drink on the weekends, and that's the same mentality today. that many people face.
That's a
So
slave. That's the because Sonia mentioned this quite a lot. That slave mentality that
It
actually
is, yeah.
is
Still there.
fatal
yeah,
It
to
is.
us.
You talked about slaves. We need to look at the work of Clark's shoes. There was a lady called Eleanor Clark in the 17th century here in England. Did you realise she ran the Underground Railroad?
no, I didn't.
Yeah, look, everybody talks about Clark's shoes. Everybody wants to wear Clark's shoes. Why? It goes back to because the Clark's family were Quakers. They invented the fair day's wage for a fair day's work. So that the minimum wage, they invented that. Did anybody know that bit?
No,
Yeah,
no,
well, the Clarks did, and they would never undersell somebody's worth. So whatever you earned was a fair day's pay for a fair day's wage. But they ran the Underground Railroad. So when you got to where they were, that was the land of the free, and that was here in England. So they, along with Josiah Wedgwood, okay, were slave abolitionists. And while we were talking about slave, we need to look at the work of a gentleman called John Blank. And you're going to ask me, who is John Blank? Going back to the 17th century, John Blank was the favourite trumpeter of Henry VII and Henry VIII. We know that he was a favourite of Henry VIII because every time Henry VIII got married, John Blank was the only trumpeter who got a wedding gift. And in a historical record, John Blank is referred to having woolly hair. So from that description alone, we know that John Blank is a black man. And we know he can read and write because A, he played music, and that he wrote a letter to Henry VIII asking for a pay increase because he could not manage on his pay. And as we all know, Henry VIII was famous for off with your head. John Blank got his pay increase. So this is what I always say to these young men and women: the pen is mightier than the sword. Know your history. Know where you're walking from and to.
that's so true. And even when we're talking about history, I was looking at the new Elizabeth line that's opened
Yes,
just
that's
this
right.
week, and I was just thinking about the underground. I mean, it's an amazing. It's like a little bit of magic where you have this train thing underground, and it goes very fast, and it goes to different places very quickly, very far out, and you can get to different places. And I'm thinking, while the media and that they laud London as having the oldest underground in the world and all this and that and God knows what, I'm thinking to myself, the actual concept of transporting things, either passengers or goods, underground, surely must have come from us
It
as
did.
black people, because
Underground Railroad.
and that's exactly what I was thinking. And even probably before that, maybe somewhere in Africa they have that. But from what I understand, the first underground, quote unquote, was in America when the enslaved blacks built an underground railroad to
Yeah.
transport their people and goods from maybe the south to the north on things.
Hmm.
So maybe there's something we don't get enough credit for. We may not have built the London Underground. I don't know too much about who built that and
No,
things
I
and
don't
stuff.
know, but we could
But the
find.
concept of the underground comes from us, and I don't think we get the credit for that because
No,
it's a very ingenious invention.
no. GHD straighteners. The actual concept of straightening your hair was started by a black woman. Did you know that? Madam C.J. Walker.
I watched the Netflix show on her black product. She became a millionaire off of that, isn't
Yes,
it?
she did. Yes.
Yeah. I think she was one of the wealthiest women in Los Angeles. It was her and another lady. What's her name? Biddy Mason. I think Biddy Mason was into property though. But
Yes.
between them, I think they were both multimillionaires at the turn of the 20th century, weren't they?
Wealthy. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very wealthy. I don't know if they were millionaires, but very, very wealthy.
Yeah.
And I know more about Madam C.J. Walker than the other lady, but it's
Same
quite
here.
inspiring to see what some of our brothers and sisters done.
She
At
invented
the,
Avon. Did you realise that?
yes, she did. It was her work of going around and getting other ladies to sell her hair products
Yeah.
that invented the Avon in the first place. Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to know our history, know where we're coming from and where we're walking through. Very, very important.
I mean, for me personally, I've seen, I think, one documentary on the Black Wall Street that was in Tulsa, but
Yeah.
I'd like to read up about it. So I don't know if anyone's got a book that they would recommend that really shone a good light on the Black Wall
I'll
Street in
what I'll
America.
do, I'll speak to my to a cousin of mine, and I will put it in the link, the WhatsApp group, because I know
Okay.
because they actually burnt it down because Black Wall Street was very successful.
It was very
Jordan, if
successful.
you're happy, you can pop your email address in the chat, and we can email you some information and any help that you need on your journey towards learning more about Black history. Sonia can, get something to, because Sonia knows a lot, and believe me, she
Yeah,
knows a
yeah. I
lot.
just put it
No,
there. Thanks. That'd be very kind because I do want to know more about the Black Wall Street, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
Either a book or a film, because it was very successful.
yeah,
yeah,
And
it was.
it's quite inspiring that they did it
yeah,
at the time where there's no internet,
Mhm.
there's hardly any computers,
Yeah.
we don't have the modern things
yeah,
that we do here.
I'm telling Black people are MacGyver. We're
yeah,
MacGyvers.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You
we
know,
could have we could have a shoestring and
yeah,
and a leaf and
yeah,
build a house.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we can, and we would. And when I look at Central Park was Black Wall Street. Did you realise that?
No.
They
Yes.
burnt it. They burnt it down. They
Yeah.
burnt down Black Wall Street and made it a park because Black Wall Street was too successful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Any little piece of success, any little thing.
Yeah, very important. Very important. It's like at the Arawak Indians in the Caribbean, in Jamaica. Again,
I,
so
I Someone asked me what my heritage was today, and I said, "Oh, well, that's a difficult question." I said, "I suppose to look at me, you probably think African, but there's also Caribbean there. There's a bit of Scottish. There's a bit of Arawak." And he said, "Oh, Arawak, what's that? What's an Arawak?" I'm like, well, that's how to explain to him what one was. And then he actually said to me that, oh yes, because when Columbus um, went to the Caribbean, he thought it was India, didn't he?
yes, he did.
So
He did. He did. Actually, he did.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's why he called it the West Indies, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah. And
but
Christopher Columbus did not invent or find Jamaica. Jamaica was already there.
Mhm.
You know
Speaking
that.
of the Caribbean, I saw the Bayesian prime ministers on the Forbes 100 most
Yeah,
influential people of the
I,
world. I don't know.
I was proud of that.
Yeah, me too. I don't know too much about what she's done, but it seems
Oh,
like since the country has gotten away from the
yeah.
English sort of rule, kind of, they've been trying to sort of improve, and I think it's
It's
people
working.
have been pretty impressed with her.
Yeah.
She's got some ideas of things, and I think that maybe it's the start of sort of slow building of the Caribbean because it's a wonderful region,
Oh, it
and
is
I
a.
think especially in the larger islands, Cuba, Jamaica, and
Mhm,
Hispaniola, if they get the economy together
mhm.
and things and didn't have so much poverty,
And
it could
crime
really be used.
and
Yeah,
crime and
yes,
crime.
it could be those three islands in particular because they're quite large in
They
terms of the
are.
space. You could really do quite a lot in terms of development just for everyone in the Caribbean,
But if
So
you think of the Caribbean and the iron ore, how come they're not rich? Look at the iron ore in the Jamaica. Cobalt, and you're not rich. You've got poverty. Really, come on, Jamaica. Come
Well,
on.
they've got oil in Trinidad as well, but I think that's controlled by the Americans.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
and the Chinese.
yeah, exactly. But one of the countries that really baffles me
Oh,
as to the
yeah.
progress of it is Guyana,
Yeah.
because of the size of the country and everything. It really should have been a place where a lot of people from the Caribbean went to live.
Mm.
Certainly my family and that, it would have been a shorter flight. You go there, you get your house,
You went
you get your
shopping.
job, yeah, and would be in that country going on the underground to work in the local governments and things in that country. It's big enough. It's a lot bigger than Britain, so they've got the space, but it's just the development, is fortunately is a bit behind. That country could really flourish with the right economic development.
Did any of you realize that there are many people go to Cuba to have their operations because Cuba's NHS is better than ours? Some people have said.
Really?
Yeah, that's what
I,
they've said.
I knew they had good doctors there, but I didn't realize it was that good.
I didn't know. I don't know myself. This is what they said. They've gone there because they get better treatment and there's no waiting list. That's,
Oh,
that's what they said.
I've been hearing. Oh, well, to be honest, who have I been hearing it from?
But
Um,
then is it a lot of money for the flights and then the operation, or how
That's
does that
right.
work?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is
yeah.
that. Yes. But it's I like to be informed. I like to, I speak to people, and you've got to sometimes take things with a big pinch of salt. Never know what that meant, but hey, and then you have to look into it yourself. Google is a good tool.
So, guys, do we have any advice for our brothers and sisters out there who are either experiencing tokenism or seeing tokenism?
Educate yourselves. Educate. That's what I'd say. Don't fight violence with violence because you'll always be the loser. But you educate, and then you educate them. You are the teacher, and you teach them. It's not
Would
going to
you
be
would you advise them, for example, if they know that they are in a position due to an act of tokenism, should they stay in that position and try to aid change, even
I
though they are aware that they were only chosen for a tokenistic reason?
then I look upon it. The bigger picture is you don't want to leave yourself with nothing.
Right.
So when you jump ship, you're jumping 'cause you got the upper hand, but don't jump till you're ready.
Hmm.
I would echo the same sentiment. Being realistic, a lot of us don't have the economics to sometimes turn down positions or even leave and resign positions, just like that. So I think it's about trying to make change when you're in there,
Yes. Right.
especially if you're able to bring some of your others fellow brothers and sisters up the ladder or even help them in the positions that they're in.
Hmm.
Um, and I know it sounds good to say, they could leave or that, but realistically, a lot of our people aren't in an economic
No.
position to do that. And if they did, a lot of our people wouldn't even bother helping them if they were
True.
suddenly without a job too. So some people will take the position and they won't do a lot, but some of us who we want change, we can take those positions, then we can try to create change. But that only happens when, as I go back to what I was saying, sort of near the start of the meeting, when you network and you organize with other black people. So if you're in the force and they want to promote you to super DCI intendant or whatever thing they use, you're the first black person that's a DCI superintendent or whatever they say, and they're giving you a pay rise, and you got a nice chair and a nice suit, and you got these letters after your name. Yeah, you can take the position. Your salary's doubled or whatnot.
Yeah.
but just know in your own mind that you're taking that position to make a difference.
That's right.
You're first and foremost an officer, you know, just for my example, but you're there to you're made to make a difference with the young black men and
Hmm.
women out there, and other people as well, because you serve the whole community. But you're there to make a difference. The problem is when we have people in these positions that don't make a difference. That's the thing. Like
Yeah.
even with HR in the corporate sector, a lot
Oh,
of Asians have got into that to help their own people.
yeah.
They're not just in a position for no reason. They're HR managers, and then you suddenly see the amount of them in the organization suddenly increase. That's by design, by
Yeah.
working together.
Yeah.
You
And we
see, and
need
that's how
all.
it's done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, it's coming up now, 9:57. I'm going to end on a little quote from Alice Walker, who wrote the book, The Colour Purple. And this is very apt because, after all, what we've been talking about. It says, no person is your friend who demands your silence or denies your right to grow. So, what it means then, right, we have to be strong and we have to be more unified as a black group. We can't we can't fight a war individually. To fight a war, we have to build our army. So with that, what Jordan has said and you have said, Michaelia, we have to be unified. We have to be strength in unity, strength in numbers. And then I'm going to end on goodbye. Thank you all for attending. Special thanks to our speakers, Michaelia and Jordan, and monitors. Black Voice Hertfordshire community meeting strongly encourages a solution, action, productivity on issues raised. So if you've been delegated a task, please action. The minutes and recording of this meeting will be sent to you, provided we have your email address. We look forward to seeing you on our next meeting, which will be at the end of June. Thank you all. It's a beautiful meeting. It's lovely to meet you all, and it's nice to meet such I'm going to say sons and daughters, because if I called you brother and sisters, I'd be a hypocrite because I'm older, and you could all be my son and daughter. So I'm going to say that in the words of Bob Marley, one love. Speak
One
soon.
love, one love.
Okay.
Thank you.
One love. Thank you all. Take care.